Angel Reese, though. What I found most interesting about this list is where ESPN ranks their face of the league. Unfortunately for Angel Reese, the polish seems to be melting off the turd. ESPN has tried to convince us that Angel Reese is the face of the WNBA. Not only is the matriarch of Me-Bounds the face of the league, according to the media, Angel Reese is the most dominant basketball player in the world.
The narrative around Angel Reese was meant to be straightforward. An instant star, a media favorite, and a rapid, unstoppable ascent. That was supposed to settle everything. But then ESPN released a ranking that seemed to quietly rewrite the storyline when no one was paying attention. One moment, she was being promoted as the future of the WNBA. The next, she found herself placed in a position that left fans puzzled, raising an unexpected question. How does the face of a league suddenly get reduced to just another name in the mix?
A chance to talk about Angel Reese, Atlanta Dream debut. Of course, we covered it, but I didn't make a video. You know, it's a lot of videos I didn't get a chance to make because I've been busy. But yeah, we here. So make sure y'all tap that like button, hype the video, share it, all the good things, man. My takeaways were Angel Reese fit right in. She's exactly what the Atlanta Dream needed.
Before we go any further, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming next. What makes this situation so unusual isn't just that ESPN released yet another one of its controversial rankings that immediately sparked debate online. It's that this time something deeper shifted. The illusion finally broke, and in a way that even casual fans couldn't overlook.
In case you're wondering, Angel Reese, still not good from the field. 3 for 7, 10 points. I mean, good God Almighty. Not good. By the way, Mystics defeated the Dream. Defeated the Dream. That was ugly. No doubt about it. Speaking of ugly, let's just address this. When does lame-ass Atlanta Dream fix the lighting and change the court color?
Because when the list was released and fans went looking for Angel Reese, they weren't met with a top 5 superstar. Not even a clear top 10 centerpiece showed up. Instead, what they saw pointed to something much bigger than any headline, something that shifted the entire conversation behind the rankings themselves.
And it's not rocket science to see that since her arrival and the rest of that 2024 class, the WNBA has skyrocketed.
Finally! We have a WNBA player willing to admit that Caitlin Clark is the reason for the elevation of pretend basketball into the mainstream. Finally, we have a WNBA player willing to admit Caitlin Clark is the reason that they are no longer making minimum wage.
Here's the uncomfortable reality that's been building for months, slowly, quietly, like pressure in a sealed bottle. And when that list finally dropped, it didn't just add to the conversation. It blew the lid off everything at once.
Okay? Even, of course, Angel Reese, she was giving Lauren Betts the business. Okay, but Angel Reese, I see her frustration in this game. I really want Angel Reese to stop trying to shoot through defenders. She kept eating up the floor, and it was making me so upset because I'm like, I don't want her to risk any injury. She gets the ball blocked from her, from whoever, and she just boom. You just see Angel Reese just continue just repeatedly just fall on the ground, fall on her knees, fall on her lower back. Okay, that's her tailbone.
For almost 2 years, fans were told that Angel Reese wasn't just a rising star, but the defining face of the league. The centerpiece meant to carry the WNBA into a new era of attention and relevance. But when a major network actually released a ranking based on impact, production, and overall value, that confident narrative suddenly felt less certain. And that's where things started to get uncomfortable. Because if someone is truly the face of a league, their status usually doesn't need constant reinforcement. And fans certainly don't expect to see them placed outside the top tier in a list that's supposed to reflect performance. Around the same time, another talking point began circulating online about early season attendance and crowd turnout at games. Those discussions added fuel to an already heated debate, with different perspectives interpreting what they were seeing in very different ways. Together, it raised a broader question that some fans began asking more loudly. What exactly is being presented as the league's biggest storylines, and how closely does that match what people are actually seeing and believing?
The Atlanta Dream ended up besting the Chicago Sky, and I want to talk about Angel Reese's performance. Overall, in the box score, it looks like she did pretty good. 8.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, but she went 2 for 7 field goal percentage, shooting 28% from the field and 4 of 8 from the free throw. 50% on free throws. All right. Angel Reese is still doing Angel Reese things as she missed wide open shots, things that she should have made, she didn't make.
We've always known this, but saying it out loud used to come with pushback. The moment you question the narrative, you weren't just disagreed with, you were treated as if you were missing the point entirely. And yet, the conversation has reached a point where it's harder to avoid. While parts of the WNBA have continued to struggle with consistent arena turnout in certain markets, one player has been drawing attention in a very different way. Caitlin Clark has consistently been linked with spikes in ticket demand, stronger broadcast interest, and a noticeable shift in how some games are consumed by wider audiences. That impact has turned routine matchups into nationally discussed events, with more viewers tuning in and more conversation building around the league than in recent years. Whether people interpret that as individual influence or broader league momentum depends on perspective, but the level of attention is difficult to ignore. And that's where the ranking from ESPN becomes more than just a list. Rankings are usually meant to reflect performance and influence, even if they spark debate. But in this case, what stood out wasn't just disagreement over placement. It was the growing gap between established narratives and what different audiences believe they are seeing in real time.
That can control the paint. Angel Reese going to do that. Angel Reese did look nervous though. She did look a little bit timid. It was kind of emotional being back in Chicago. She got a lot of love, by the way. If there's any narratives out there that Chicago don't love Angel, it's definitely not true, because the city of Chicago was still cheering for her. They gave her a standing ovation, and I think they showed a tribute. They gave her a tribute, if I'm not mistaken. I think they could have said that for the regular season, but
Because when you look through that list and see players placed ahead of Caitlin Clark, players who, in the eyes of many fans, don't generate the same level of attention or influence, the reaction becomes immediate. Something feels off, or at least worth debating. And when people break down the reasoning behind those rankings, it often comes down to how different types of impact are being defined. In that framing, Angel Reese is described as excelling in areas like rebounding, effort, and hustle plays, contributions that are valuable to winning, even if they don't always translate into being viewed as the central, franchise-defining type of star some associate with league-wide visibility. That interpretation isn't necessarily meant as an insult, but in the current debate, even neutral descriptions tend to get read as statements about status, value, or hierarchy. The league is moving forward, and attention naturally follows the players who consistently draw it. As new data, performances, and moments unfold, the gap between perception and reality is getting harder to ignore. Conversations are shifting away from narratives and toward what is actually happening on the court, and audiences already seem to understand the direction things are headed, even if others are still adjusting.